So, if a Silicon Valley tech company, rolls out a piece of bad code, an app crashes on your phone,
Right,
right?
just refresh it and move on.
Exactly. You get annoyed, they patch it, life goes on. But if a pharmaceutical manufacturing plant rolls out bad code, the consequences are, well, they're catastrophic.
Right, because we are talking about life-saving medicine. I mean, a fraction of a degree in a bioreactor or like a single mislabeled batch, that can literally be the difference between a cure and a crisis.
It completely flips that whole move fast and break things mantra on its head.
Oh, absolutely.
Dre.
You simply cannot break things when patient safety is the ultimate output of your factory. It's just not an option.
Which makes our focus for today's deep dive so fascinating. We're pulling apart a master blueprint from the ISP Pharma 4.0 Center of Excellence.
Yeah, the How to Build Pharma 4.0 implementation guide.
That's the one. And, we hear terms like Industry 4.0 or the fourth industrial revolution thrown around constantly in tech.
Right, it's a huge buzzword.
Totally. But applying those concepts, artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
cloud computing, continuous real-time data flow, applying all of that to a massive, heavily regulated pharmaceutical plant, that is arguably the most complex modernization challenge in the world right now.
It is a phenomenal engineering and, frankly, logistical puzzle. You're taking old school, highly physical, incredibly rigid processes and trying to
Drag them into the future.
basically, yeah, trying to drag them into this hyper-connected digital ecosystem without, tripping any of the regulatory alarm bells that keep the public safe.
And for you listening, whether you work in enterprise architecture or supply chain management, or even if you just want to understand the invisible technological tightrope being walked to produce the medicine in your cabinet, this document is the ultimate playbook.
It really maps out how to transform a traditional facility into what they call a smart, connected, and self-optimizing operation.
But before we look at the specific steps to get there, we kind of need to visualize what this Pharma 4.0 structure actually looks like under the hood.
Right, the architecture.
Yeah, the document presents this as this like four-story architectural diagram.
And it builds from the ground up, literally.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have the penthouse without the foundation.
Yeah.
So at the absolute base layer one, they establish the secure digital foundation.
Which is what exactly?
We're talking about the core cloud infrastructure, the raw data platforms, and above all else, cybersecurity.
Right.
In pharma, data integrity is paramount. If your baseline data platform isn't, completely locked down against tampering or IP theft, the entire structure above it is compromised.
So building on top of that secure bedrock is layer 2, which they call the connected systems layer. This is where we bridge the gap between the physical factory and the digital brain.
Yeah.
And it focuses really heavily on IoT, the industrial Internet of Things.
And we should probably distinguish that from standard IT, because IoT in a factory setting is a completely different beast.
Right, we're not talking about laptops and Wi-Fi printers here.
Exactly. We are talking about thousands of highly sensitive operational sensors bolted onto like high-speed centrifuges, mixing tanks, packaging lines. Layer 2 is all about getting that operational technology to speak a common language.
And stream its data seamlessly into the IT network, right? Achieving that connected enterprise.
You nailed it, which then sets the stage for the third floor, layer 3, the automated operations layer.
Okay, so once you have all these sensors talking to each other securely, you can actually start automating the physical work. And the blueprint highlights closed-loop systems here. Let's pause on that because a closed-loop system seems to really be the heartbeat of a smart factory.
It absolutely is. So think about a traditional manufacturing setup, right?
Yeah.
A sensor detects that a chemical mixture is getting too hot.
Okay.
It triggers a flashing red light on a dashboard. A human operator sees the light, walks over to the control panel, and manually turns down the steam valve.
So that's an open loop.
Exactly. That is an open loop. It requires human intervention to close it.
So a closed-loop system just removes the human middleman entirely.
Precisely. In a closed-loop system, the sensor detects that temperature spike, feeds that data into the automated control system, and the system instantly turns down the valve itself based on pre-programmed parameters.
Wow.
Yeah, it detects, analyzes, and acts autonomously in milliseconds. That is what Layer 3 delivers, smart operations.
And then finally, we reach the penthouse. Layer 4, the analytics and AI layer.
The fun stuff.
Right, the stuff that gets all the tech headlines. Machine learning, predictive insights, and digital twins. For anyone who hasn't encountered that concept, a digital twin is essentially a highly accurate virtual simulation of your physical factory.
It's incredible technology.
Yeah, you can test how a new biological process will behave in the virtual world before you risk wasting, millions of dollars of actual raw materials in the real world.
And notice the progression here. The document states that the output of this final layer is leadership and decisions. You don't use AI just to run a valve.
You use layer 3 for that.
Right. You use layer 4's AI to look at the macro trends of the entire factory, the supply chain, the warehouse, and use those insights to make high-level strategic decisions.
But, looking at the architecture of this 4-story building, it reveals a harsh reality, which actually brings up my absolute favorite analogy for this whole endeavor.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah. I look at this blueprint and I immediately think of someone trying to build a smart home. You know the scenario. Somebody goes out and spends $3,000 on an AI-powered robot butler and a refrigerator that, tracks expiration dates.
But they live in a 100-year-old house with decaying electrical wiring.
Exactly. And a router that drops the Wi-Fi every 10 minutes.
That robot butler is going to spend all day staring at a blank wall.
It's an expensive paperweight. And the authors of this document know that companies are so tempted to just buy the shiny robot.
Yeah.
Right below this 4-layer diagram is a massive, unmissable warning banner. Build the foundations before pursuing autonomy.
It's so critical.
You cannot jump straight to layer 4 AI if you haven't built layer 1 data security and layer 2 connectivity.
Because if you do, your AI is essentially hallucinating. I mean, if your warehouse inventory system isn't securely connected to your production player sensors, the artificial intelligence at the top is making strategic leadership decisions based on a fractured, incomplete reality.
Right.
It might tell you, hey, ramp up production of this specific vaccine, not realizing you don't actually have enough sterile vials in the warehouse to package it.
So the technology requires this strict logical sequence. But, this actually brings me to a major point of friction I had when I was reading through the rest of this framework.
I want to hear it.
If the 4-story diagram is the ultimate goal, the document then outlines the 6 implementation foundations, the actual pillars required to support this transformation. And honestly, looking at these pillars, I felt a bit misled.
Really? How so?
Well, this is a master blueprint for Pharma 4.0, right? I'm expecting a deep dive into server cluster procurement, edge computing architecture, maybe robotic fleet management. Sure.
But the first half of this foundation reads like an organizational psychology textbook. Pillar number 1 is strategy and governance. Pillar number 2 is people and change. Pillar number 3 is process standardization.
Yep.
We do not even get to the words data or technology until pillars 4 and 5. Why is a document about the pinnacle of manufacturing technology so intensely obsessed with human resources and management theory?
Because the harsh truth of industrial modernization is that throwing cutting-edge technology at a chaotic, undocumented human process does not fix the process.
It doesn't?
No, it just gives you a significantly faster bad process.
A faster bad process.
Yes. Think about the transformation work streams. This document targets things like quality 4.0 or connected assets and maintenance. Let's take predictive maintenance as an example.
Okay.
Say you install $1 million worth of AI and acoustic sensors on your factory equipment. The AI analyzes the vibration of a critical motor and predicts, with total accuracy, that it will fail in 48 hours. It sends an alert.
Okay, so the tech did its job perfectly. But if you haven't established process standardization, that's pillar 3, maybe the maintenance team doesn't have a standardized workflow for an emergency part replacement.
Oh, I see.
And if you haven't managed people and change, pillar 2, the veteran maintenance supervisor might look at the iPad, decide he doesn't trust a computer telling him how to do his job, and ignore the alert because the motor sounds fine to him.
And then the motor blows out, the line stops, and the $1 million AI system is blamed for being useless.
Exactly. The technology is only as effective as the human willingness to adopt it and the procedural framework to act on it. In a highly regulated environment, if your operators across different sites are running their shifts based on, tribal knowledge rather than standardized rules.
Digitizing that tribal knowledge just locks the inefficiency into your permanent architecture.
Precisely. That is why governance, people, and process must absolutely precede technology.
That reframes the whole challenge for me. The tech is actually the easy part. Rewiring human behavior is the bottleneck.
Without a doubt.
So, knowing that we need these 6 foundational pillars to build the 4-story tech stack, the document shifts into action mode. It provides a strict 7-step chronological journey to actually implement this across a company.
Right.
And instead of just listing these out, I really want to look at the underlying philosophy of this roadmap.
Well, the early phases, steps 1 through 4, are essentially a rigorous period of self-reflection and mapping. You aren't buying software yet.
Okay.
You're defining the vision based strictly on patient value. You're assessing your current maturity across data and human skills. You prioritize your portfolio based on risk and ROI. And then, only then, you design the target architecture.
You draw the map before you put the car in drive.
Exactly.
But where this roadmap gets truly fascinating and where it separates itself from every other tech sector is the transition between step 5 and step 6. Step 5 is pilot and validate. Step 6 is scale and integrate. Now, if I am a massive global pharmaceutical corporation with billions in capital and I just developed a brilliant new AI quality control system, my instinct is to roll it out globally on day 1 to maximize my return on investment.
Of course it is.
So why does this framework mandate such a hard, rigid barrier between piloting a system and scaling it?
That barrier exists because of a 3-letter acronym listed under Step 5, GXP.
GXP.
It stands for Good Practice Regulations, Good Manufacturing Practice, Good Laboratory Practice, and so on.
Yeah.
These are the rigid quality guidelines enforced by agencies like the FDA.
Okay.
In a standard software company, a pilot phase is just a beta test. You release a new feature to like 5% of your users, wait for the app to crash, log the bugs, patch the code, and then push to everyone else.
Move fast, break things, iterate on the fly.
But you cannot iterate on the fly when you are synthesizing chemical compounds for human consumption.
Yeah.
In Pharma 4.0, a pilot is not a beta test. It is a regulatory trial. GXP validation requires you to prove, with exhaustive documentation, that this new digital system consistently produces results that are as safe, reliable, and compliant as the old analog method.
So you are basically putting the algorithm itself on trial.
You have to. I mean, if you're replacing a human quality inspector with an AI vision system, you must generate hard evidence that the AI isn't going to hallucinate a false positive and let a contaminated batch through.
Right.
You have to prove that the data from your layer 2 sensors cannot be altered or spoofed. If you try to bypass Step 5 and immediately scale unvalidated technology across multiple sites in Step 6,
An auditor will walk in, shut down your entire global operation, and you'll be facing massive recalls.
exactly. It's a sobering reality check. You could have all the vision in the world, but if you can't validate it for the regulators, it's useless.
Which brings us to the operational engine of this whole blueprint. We have the architecture, we have the human pillars, we have the 7-step roadmap, but who is actually turning the wheel day to day? And how do they ensure this massive disruption results in actual measurable improvements?
The document lays out a very specific operating model and a continuous value and control loop to manage this. The operating model establishes a clear chain of command, flowing from a high-level steering committee down through centers of excellence and process owners, all the way down to cross-functional teams and site champions.
I really want to highlight those site champions. You know, you have the boardroom executives setting the multi-million-dollar strategy, but the final, most critical link in this entire deployment chain are the people on the actual factory floor.
It is surprisingly democratic.
Yeah. If the everyday workers don't champion the system on the ground, the whole multi-site rollout just collapses.
And that connects directly to the value and control loop. This loop is the mechanism for execution. You set a baseline, define a target, execute the new system, validate it, adopt it, measure the performance, and improve. The site champions are the absolute linchpin of that adopt phase. You can engineer the most elegant layer 4 AI in the world, but if the site champions don't drive adoption among the floor operators, you will never reach the final section of this document.
The delivered outcomes.
Exactly.
Let's talk about those outcomes because this is the payoff for all the regulatory headaches and change management. The document lists outcomes like faster time to value, productivity, compliance, resilience, and patient centricity. But the one that really stands out to me is right first time.
Oh, right first time is the holy grail of pharmaceutical manufacturing.
Explain that for us.
It means you run a complex batch of medicine perfectly on the very first attempt. No deviations, no errors, no rework, no scrapping millions of dollars of raw materials because something was slightly off.
And to really understand how all these pieces fit together, let's visualize a right first-time scenario using this Pharma 4.0 blueprint.
Okay, let's do it.
Imagine a massive, 10,000-liter bioreactor cultivating a sensitive vaccine. Suddenly, the internal temperature starts to drift by just a fraction of a degree. In an old factory, a human might not catch the manual gauge in time, right? The batch spoils, and you throw away $5 million of product.
But in the Pharma 4.0 model, those Layer 2 IoT sensors detect that microshift instantly.
Right.
They securely transmit that data to Layer 4, where a digital twin of the bioreactor models the future impact of that temperature drift and calculates the exact countermeasure needed.
And then that insight is fired down to Layer 3, the automated operations layer, where a closed-loop system automatically adjusts the cooling jacket on the bioreactor before the temperature ever reaches a critical threshold.
Yes, the batch is saved in milliseconds, without a human ever touching a dial.
It's amazing.
And crucially, because you follow the foundations, and step 5, that entire automated decision was documented and logged perfectly for GXP compliance.
That is right first-time manufacturing in a nutshell. It is a domino effect of integrated technology, standard processes, and validated data saving a multi-million-dollar batch of medicine.
It is an incredible ecosystem when it works. And, it all culminates in a single grand equation at the bottom of the document. It effectively summarizes everything we've discussed into one line of math.
Let's hear it.
Strategy plus people plus standard processes plus trusted data plus validated technology equals Pharma 4.0 at scale.
Wow.
All 5 elements are non-negotiable. Remove standard processes and you automate chaos.
Remove validated technology and you trigger a regulatory shutdown.
Exactly. Remove the people and you have brilliant software that sits abandoned on a tablet somewhere. You need the complete equation.
It's a really powerful reminder that technology does not exist in a vacuum. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought drawn from a tiny, easily overlooked caveat box tucked into the corner of this master blueprint.
Oh, I know the one.
It's a single sentence, but it might just be the most vital piece of advice in the entire framework. It reads, every initiative needs an owner, business case, risk assessment, adoption plan, and measurable KPI.
It forces absolute clarity.
Yeah.
No vanity projects allowed.
Exactly. In an era where every industry is obsessed with artificial intelligence, autonomous systems, and sweeping digital transformation, true innovation still lives or dies by strict, unglamorous human accountability.
Yeah.
The technology can be as smart, connected, and self-optimizing as theoretically possible, but a human being still has to own the result. So whatever ambitious project you are building in your own life or career, ask yourself, do you have a designated owner and a measurable metric of success for every single piece?
Because if you don't,
You aren't building a smart, connected future. You're just buying a robot butler and hoping the Wi-Fi holds up. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.